Margaret Qualley as a hot lesbian in a Coen brother comedy? Why the fuck would I not want to watch that? And how the fuck do you screw a concept like that up? It's not rocket science, guys. The Coen brothers may have split up, but they still know how to direct on their own, and with their usual story set and cast of characters, it should be entertaining. It's a good thing Joel Coen can still direct, because Drive Away Dolls is hands down the fucking worst Coen brothers anything I've ever seen. I haven't watched all their movies, so I could be wrong about that, but even the middle ground stuff I've watched of theirs, in comparison, felt miles above this. Drive Away Dolls was fucking dull and lazy and rushed all at the same time, which really blew my mind. When I found out that this was going to be an hour and 24 minutes, I was actually excited because it's a super simple story about two innocent girls who accidentally have this briefcase belonging to some powerful evil people. And no matter how light or dark a Coen Brothers movie is, most of the screen time is dedicated to character interaction as opposed to plot. It actually feels laid back and smooth. Almost every scene in this movie is filled with fast-paced, plot-driven exposition that fills you in on everything that just happened or is about to happen without getting a moment to soak in the moment or experience what these characters are going through. And whenever a scene ends, there are these incredibly abrupt scene transitions that at first I was actually kind of into because it seemed like a creative way to save on time. But as the movie goes on, there are so many scenes that feel like there needed an extra 2 minutes, or there were an extra 2 minutes in the script, but then it got rewritten, or the studio said, nope, we need a short movie, you gotta cut it down. So the second that you think another character is about to say something or make a discovery, all of a sudden, it'll just randomly cut away, and it feels so abrupt and unfocused and weird. And even weirder, they become more filled with all of this psychedelic imagery that really adds nothing to the plot line because, for the most part, it has nothing to do with what had just happened or was about to. There's only one or two visions where it actually ties into the plot. It doesn't make any damn sense because none of these characters have hallucinations or dreams that tie into the imagery. None of them do any drugs. That was such a huge letdown, especially when you see all of this wacky, trippy shit on screen. There's even this one cameo that if you were to cut it out, absolutely nothing would change. I'm not even kidding. I pity the actors in this movie because the casting was another huge selling point for me to watch this because they're all super talented, but not enough to save crappy material. Hell, half of these characters don't even have time to even try saving the material. Pedro Pascal is literally in this as much as he's in the trailer. I'd say that's about 95% of his screen time. The other 5%, he's in the box, if you know what I mean. And Matt Damon as the villain? Hey, look, man. Remember when I said it was hard to be your friend? Yeah, that wasn't in the script. Literally, it has 2 scenes. One of them, again, you saw in the trailer. And it's a damn shame because, honestly, the evil backstory that he has could have been funny if we were to actually experience it in a flashback or something like that. But again, it's delivered through exposition, not even by him, but somebody that he doesn't even interact with. Margaret Qualley talks for a mile a second throughout the majority of this film, so you miss a lot of her dialogue and her jokes, especially with this incredibly thick Texan accent that was hard to take seriously. And even when she does slow down, she's this hipster pseudo-intellectual who spouts a lot of armchair philosophy bullshit about how her life sucks, when in reality, she brings so much deep, dark shit on herself and her best friend, which makes her an extremely unlikable character. Geraldine Viswanathan, hopefully I said that right, she was the one person in this who I actually gave a shit about because everybody beats down on her relentlessly, and without much cause, too. What makes her character the only endearing character, and ironically the same reason that the two of them as friends have no chemistry, is that I have absolutely no idea what makes them good friends in the first place, because Qualley is just such a selfish twat in this. She brought a one-night stand to the hotel room that they share on this road trip, for fuck's sake, and Viswanathan, for whatever reason, doesn't have a backbone. She literally goes into the hotel lobby with a book and just waits for them to be done fucking. Like, she actually makes sacrifices for her friends out of kindness. She is patient and as tolerant as she can possibly be when people are selfish or stupid. And when she does hit a boiling point, she will let you have it. Which is why in the second half, as the two of them become a lot closer, it just felt out of nowhere because Qualley did next to nothing in order to deserve it. The henchmen in this are the most blatant ripoffs of the Fargo goons. You know which one's supposed to be Buscemi or Stormare. And like I said before, it's not that they're given a ton of screen time in order to be all that menacing, because in the middle of a random conversation, like I said, out of nowhere, it'll just cut to the next scene like it's nothing. I give Colman Domingo credit for trying to be the calm and sophisticated henchman, but he doesn't say anything funny. Speaking of not saying anything funny, I kept forgetting Beanie Feldstein was even in the damn movie, which... she's the biggest missed opportunity comedy-wise because she's this constantly angry cop that could have so many hilarious scenarios. I mean, there's one random bit where she's on night patrol and a jail cell is completely wide open, but the prisoner stays in there just because she is that angry and authoritative, and it actually strikes fear in his heart. That scene was fucking gift-wrapped. But there were no jokes in that scene. It was just her screaming off the top of her lungs. In case it wasn't disappointing enough that this didn't have a dark sense of humor, it also doesn't have a dark edge by any means, because most of the violence happens off-screen to the point where I was on a live stream about No Country for Old Men, and uninspired Jedi Brooks, if you're watching this, I take back what I said about Llewellyn dying, because... my god, that was 10 times more climactic than anything that happens in this shit. Most of the violence is done off-screen. There's nothing all that bloody or graphic that happens, and if you blink, you miss like the one tiny bit that you see anything even remotely physical. Now, fun fact, this was actually co-written and edited by a lesbian who happens to be Ethan Coen's wife, who he's still married to. Don't ask me how that works. I'm just here to critique the movie, not them. But if you were to walk into this movie blind without even knowing, it wouldn't hit you, because the countless sex scenes in this actually felt very surface level and completely unsatisfying for a few reasons. One, Margaret Qualley and Geraldine Viswanathan are fairly attractive, but they're made out in this movie to look incredibly plain. And take it from someone who actually is plain, why are there quotations? In case you haven't noticed, I look very good in a suit and tie compared to my Mr. Rogers getup. Look, the point is, a plain person can still look attractive, and an attractive person can still look fucking ridiculous. And they don't go the extra mile to make a plain person look attractive. Second, look at a movie like Bound that has attractive and plain lesbians who definitely give you feelings in certain sex scenes, not gonna lie, but it's not because their boobs are hanging out or they're eating each other's pussy. It's because they were developed beforehand. The characters actually had personality and chemistry with one another before they started fucking. And the sex scenes were actually choreographed and filmed in an intimate way where you genuinely believe the chemistry between Violet and Corky. When they try to do the same thing in this movie, you don't sit there and think, oh my god, these two are so passionately in love. You think, oh, they're eating each other's pussy. That's all I got. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Drive Away Dolls. Be sure to stay tuned for more videos. Be sure to like, subscribe, and check me out on Patreon and buy me a coffee. Take care.